Welcome back to Breaking News Network. I'm Emily and this is Haley.
This just in, students and teachers at yet another high school continue rallying to ban the book Nickel and Dimed by Barbara Ehrenreich.
Barbara's book is causing quite an uproar as students at various schools and colleges find the book completely ridiculous. This book seems to be quite controversial, so much so that students are actively protesting against reading it.
One of our reporters, Olivia Thomasma, is on scene at one of the schools where students are speaking out against Nickel and Dimed. Olivia, could you tell us a little bit more about what exactly is going on at schools across the nation regarding this book?
Thank you, Haley. Yet I am here at another high school that disagrees with the content presented in Barbara's book. Some have said that the book has no moral value and is simply propaganda. Some have even deemed it obscene. One student complained that, and I quote, "The quotes are taken ridiculously out of context. For many reasons, this book has been causing quite a problem for many readers. As more news comes out to the topic, I'll be sure to keep you updated." That's all for now. I'm Olivia Thomasmo, reporting for BBN. Back to you.
Thanks, Olivia. Despite the significant criticism her work has been receiving in schools across the country, many say Barbara's work provides us with an interesting new insight into the lives of low-wage workers and the current state of the American dream.
Because of your curiosity about the lower class and life in poverty, Barbara conducted a journalistic experiment of sorts in which she went undercover to discover more about low-wage workers, their employment, and the unknown difficulties they face.
To do this, she left behind her home, family, and friends, and middle-class luxuries, and took only her car, some basic belongings, and emergency cash, and worked the low-wage jobs of waitress, maid, and Walmart employee.
Issues she wrote about included overbearing management, wages insufficient for providing for her needs, and difficulties in locating affordable housing.
Barbara also worked alongside of people whom she portrayed as hardworking and diligent. She argued against the societal stereotype that all low-wage workers hold the jobs they do because of laziness, saying that various accentuating circumstances can prevent people from moving up.
This observation speaks to the condition of our country's economy and culture. According to Barbara, the American dream that originally drew millions of people to America to make it big has burned out a bit.
She wrote about her coworkers feeling stuck in their current jobs and also experienced this firsthand. Even with her advantages, she claimed that she didn't find it any easier to succeed. So, she seems to ask, is the American dream dead?
All in all, Barbara seems to be hoping to open the general public's eyes to the struggles of poverty today and demonstrate her belief in the need for reform.
So we'll leave it up to you, viewers, to decide how to best handle the conclusions Barbara came to about our nation's low-wage workforce. Now Olivia, our investigative reporter, is hoping to get a one-on-one personal interview with Barbara herself. Back to you, Olivia.
I'm on the lookout for the famous Barbara Ehrenreich. I've heard she lives somewhere in this area, but I have no idea where. It's hour 2 of looking and still know nothing. So, let's cut to commercial break.
Come on over and shop at Walmart during our huge post-Christmas sale with items up to 112% off. As you can see, it's a madhouse. People can't get enough of our blowout deals, so hurry over right now and don't miss out on this incredible opportunity. Save money, live better. It's the Walmart difference. Give me a W.
Welcome back. Still looking for Barbara? Still nothing? Is that her? I think it is. That's Barbara! Hey, Barbara! Yeah, you, come here. I'm from BBN News. I have to ask you a couple questions. Yeah, get in the car. So tell me, Barbara, there's been a lot of controversy in response to your book Nickel and Dimed, and a lot of negative specifically to you calling Jesus a wine-guzzling vagrant and socialist. What's your response to that?
I have received a lot of criticism for writing that in my book. I do think that Jesus was a vagrant and a socialist. However, I do admire Jesus of the book of Matthew. When I had described him as being wine-guzzling, I didn't mention that Jesus is often referred to as a parallel to Dionysus, a Greek god of wine and ecstasy who, like Jesus, offered eternal life to his followers. So, yeah, I know that a lot of people are upset at me for my opinion, but I didn't mean it offensive when I wrote that, and I didn't necessarily explain that parallel in my writing.
Okay. And I do understand that. You made a good point. But there are some schools that have banned your book, and they've said that it has a lack of moral value. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, I was aware of this. I am very sorry that people feel this way, and I genuinely feel as though my book provides good insight and a different perspective into low-wage jobs and low-income families and how that affects people. I believe it's extremely important for people to see how living a life without a lot of money is different than what people maybe normally think of and perceive. And also it was important to me to expose how middle class stereotypes towards lower class might not always be accurate. And sometimes people work incredibly hard, yet they're just not able to achieve their goals due to the cycle that they are in.
All right, that's all the questions I had. Thank you for your honesty, Barbara, and thanks for giving up your time to answer my questions. And I hope that your muffins aren't burnt in the oven.
Yes, I'm glad I could share some of my thoughts with you.
Yes, and that concludes our interview. Thank you, Barbara.
Thanks, Olivia. As we've seen today, many agree with Barbara and approve of Nickel and Dimed, while many others do not. Haley and I have differing opinions on it. You like the book, right?
Yes, I think it's fantastic. She put herself into poverty to experience what it's like firsthand. I thought the book was well written and accurate.
Accurate? How is it accurate?
It's a firsthand experience.
But Barbara's perceptions of her experience are skewed because she came from an upper middle class background and then moved down to the lower class. Plus, she knew she'd be out of the situation soon, and it wasn't long term.
But everyone's perceptions are different anyway.
So she could have just interviewed a bunch of poor people and then learned about their actual stories. I think she'd gain more respect and understanding for them.
But she did the experiment in order to understand them more. Because of the experiment, she's able to make stronger points about how to help the poor. It shows that she cares for them genuinely.
No, I think she's very condescending toward the poor. For example, in her evaluation, she wrote that the Economic Policy Institute said that $30,000 a year is a living wage. Then she writes that the budget doesn't include things like restaurant meals, video rentals, cigarettes, lottery tickets, and liquor. And yes, $30,000 isn't very much, but she acts like all those things are necessities.
No.
She also implies that her low-wage job at Walmart is to blame for making her act savagely and cruelly, which I don't think is true, and acts like this must be true for all low-wage workers, implying that they can't control their own feelings, which is very degrading toward them.
But the job was degrading. The employers, the low wages they provide, and how awful the jobs are all degrade the workers. It's no wonder they feel bitter and angry.
I mean, yes, the jobs and employers can be very awful, but Barbara seems to be saying in her novel that all employers are heartless beasts and that poor people can do absolutely nothing for themselves. It's very hard to get out of poverty, but it's not as though the poor can't do anything.
But they can't do anything, and Barbara showed that through her experiment. The poor with their low wages can't do anything to lift themselves out of poverty. They're stuck in a terrible situation.
But the experiment was flawed from the very beginning. She kept her car and fell back on her own savings multiple times. The poor don't have that kind of luxury.
I mean, I guess that's one way to look at it. But I suppose the final question would be, do you agree with the ban on this book?
There are many issues with this book. It's very biased and opinionated. Her experiment was flawed, and a bunch more. So if I ran a school, yes, I would ban it.
Obviously, I disagree with you. I think it's a phenomenal book that everyone should read, but I guess we'll just have to agree to disagree. Well, that's a wrap regarding Barbara, her story, and the controversy regarding Nickel and Dime. If you'd like to read this controversial, award-winning novel for yourself, check out your local bookstore or sellers online.
Thank you for watching this segment on BNN. We'll be back with a story about a man who decided to live as a goat after the break. Stay tuned.